Ethiopia is one of the few African nations that successfully resisted colonization by European powers, maintaining its independence throughout the colonial era. The primary reasons Ethiopia was never colonized are rooted in its military resistance, strategic diplomacy, geography, and historical unity under effective leadership. The most significant event that safeguarded Ethiopia's sovereignty was the Battle of Odwa in 1896, where Ethiopian forces under Emperor Menelik II decisively defeated Italian forces. Italy sought to expand its colonial ambitions in Africa and had already established a foothold in neighboring Eritrea. After signing the Treaty of Wachal in 1889, the dispute arose over its interpretation. The Italian version of the treaty implied that Ethiopia had surrendered its sovereignty and agreed to become an Italian protectorate, while the Amharic version did not. Menelik II, refusing to cede sovereignty, mobilized a massive army composed of soldiers from various regions of Ethiopia, effectively uniting the country against the external threat. At the Battle of Odwa, the Ethiopian army, well prepared and larger than anticipated, delivered a devastating blow to Italian forces, marking one of the first major victories by an African nation against a European power during the Scramble for Africa. Ethiopia's ability to resist colonization can be attributed to the strong and capable leadership of its emperors, particularly Menelik II. He was a visionary ruler who successfully unified diverse ethnic groups within Ethiopia, creating a strong and cohesive military force. Menelik II also invested in modernizing the military by acquiring weapons from France, Russia, and other European countries, ensuring that Ethiopia's army was well equipped for battle. This modernization helped the Ethiopians stand on relatively equal footing with European forces. Additionally, Menelik's diplomatic efforts played a crucial role in maintaining Ethiopia's independence. He cultivated relationships with European powers such as Britain and France. Using diplomacy to prevent isolation and to counter Italian ambitions, Ethiopia's rugged terrain provided a natural defense against foreign invaders. Its mountainous landscape, with difficult-to-navigate highlands and valleys, made it challenging for European armies to launch effective campaigns into the interior. The geographic complexity of Ethiopia served as a barrier against prolonged occupation by foreign forces, giving the Ethiopians a strategic advantage in defending their territory. Ethiopia has a long history of centralized statehood and a strong sense of national identity, tracing back to the ancient kingdom of Aksum. Unlike many other African regions that were loosely organized into smaller tribal societies, Ethiopia had a history of empire and centralized governance. This historical continuity helped create a united front against external threats. Religion also played an important role in maintaining Ethiopia's independence. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, one of the world's oldest Christian traditions, was closely linked with the monarchy, further solidifying national unity. The fact that Ethiopia had an ancient Christian identity made it distinct in the eyes of European powers, particularly during a time when colonization was often justified through a civilizing or Christianizing mission. Ethiopia's rulers were astute diplomats, maintaining a delicate balance of power between rival European nations. While Menelik II was willing to engage with European powers for military and technological advancements, he was careful not to allow any single European nation to dominate Ethiopia's affairs. By skillfully playing European powers off one another, Ethiopia was able to maintain its independence. After the defeat of Italy in the Battle of Odwa, European powers recognized Ethiopia's sovereignty and established diplomatic relations with the empire. Italy, forced to renounce its protectorate claims, signed the Treaty of Addis Ababa, formally acknowledging Ethiopia's independence. Following the Battle of Odwa, Ethiopia was internationally recognized as an independent state. Its success in fending off colonization enhanced its prestige on the global stage and served as an inspiration for other colonized nations in Africa and beyond. Ethiopia's continued independence also positioned it as a symbol of African sovereignty and resistance to European domination during a time when much of the continent was being carved up by European powers. Despite successfully fending off colonization in the 19th century, Italy did briefly occupy Ethiopia from 1936 to 1941 under Benito Mussolini's fascist regime, during which time it merged Ethiopia with Eritrea and Italian Somaliland to form Italian East Africa. However, this occupation was short-lived, and Ethiopia regained its independence after 5 years, with the help of British forces during World War II. While this period marked a temporary loss of sovereignty, it did not result in the kind of long-term colonization seen in other African countries. Ethiopia's resistance to European colonization was a result of a combination of factors: effective military resistance, strong leadership, diplomacy, geographic advantages, and a strong sense of national identity. The country's victory over Italy at the Battle of Odwa remains a key symbol of African resistance and resilience, solidifying Ethiopia's place as one of the few African nations never to be fully colonized. Its history of resistance and independence has made Ethiopia a beacon of pride and inspiration for many African nations during the era of decolonization.